Coming up on today's San Francisco 49ers Report, my name is Chase Sr. More moves are coming up on the horizon for the Niners. Also, Jauan Jennings not happy with his current situation and contract. And could the 49ers make a trade for Jakobi Meyers? He, too, not happy with his current deal, unable to strike a new contract with the Las Vegas Raiders. He could be on the move. And could we see a wide receiver swap? All of that and more coming your way here on this beautiful Wednesday, August 27th. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button for daily and year-round coverage of the Niners. Been down here in Costa Rica this week, and the shows have been popping off. Really appreciate all of the support, even though I'm working remotely here. It's really impressing the bosses, by the way. People liked the Costa Rica house tour also yesterday. So if you want more clips from Costa Rica on the next video, I want you to type me down in the comment section right now. All right, let's begin here. Are more moves coming for John Lynch, Kyle Shanahan, and San Francisco? The Niners and other teams across the NFL have not stopped working the phones. They're probably glued to their phones, sending out a lot of text messages. They're scanning waiver wire. They're looking to make trades, and they're looking at what players are eligible to sign in NFL free agency. And another reminder, I've said this a few times, but it's important to emphasize this. Just because San Francisco released their initial and official 53-man roster does not mean it is the finalized 53-man roster. San Francisco, I think especially, going to look to be active in looking at wide receivers. Again, to sign in free agency or monitoring which players could become available by way of a trade. And with this 49ers initial 53-man roster, a couple of takeaways that I have, they only had 5 wide receivers on the initial 53. One of those wide receivers, Jakobi Meyers, is going to be out for multiple weeks because he re-injured the hamstring issue that he hurt on the first day of training camp when he was running routes against air. He comes back, he felt it grab again, and so the Niners have to put him on the shelf for a while. And so technically you pretty much only have 4 wide receivers looking ahead to week 1. Not enough. Also in the trenches, San Francisco going trench heavy. Now, we know this offseason the Niners really emphasized getting younger, more spry, shedding salary. They were willing to eat a lot of dead money. It's closing in on nearly $90 million, and they let a lot of players walk who signed deals elsewhere in NFL free agency. And while they've certainly gotten younger, they've also wanted to rebuild the defense and rebuild the defensive line. And so San Francisco, on the initial 53, they have 10 offensive linemen and 11 defensive linemen. And you know that I'm a big advocate for that. I'm a big fan of that. I'm a firm believer that you oftentimes win and lose games in the trenches. Sometimes you have to watch the game of football from the sideline. Which offensive line is getting a push? Which defensive line is getting a push? And so for the Niners to build their team in this manner, I'm certainly a big fan of that. Now, is the offensive line still a huge question mark? Is it mediocre? Yeah, because you don't have a ton of high-level talent, but keeping a player like Drew Moss, having a 7th-round pick in Connor Colby, make strides, show some signs of growth, show some signs of being legitimate players, that's huge. Because if Connor Colby is at left guard and then Drew Moss can be a really good backup and then maybe play a guard spot in the future, perhaps maybe even center, even though playing center in Kyle Shanahan's offense is very difficult, as John Feliciano has talked about, it just gives you more depth and more talent at a very important position group. And then you have one of the best left tackles still, even at 37 in Trent Williams. You upgrade at left guard maybe over a player like Aaron Banks. Drew Moss, maybe at some point in the future, he becomes your center. Not difficult to be better than Jake Brendel. Really like Dominic Pooney. And at right tackle, you have Colton McKivitz. He's going into a contract year. Hopefully he's motivated to have a really big season. And with that, he plays very well because this might be his only time in his NFL career to land a big contract extension. And then along the defensive line, are there a lot of question marks? For sure. And you have a lot of youth there. But you do have some intriguing players, number one. You still have a star player in Nick Bosa. You spent a lot of draft capital on a lot of these young players too. And if they can grow and develop and become really good players, and you're sound with the offensive line and defensive line for the foreseeable future, this is part of that reset, hybrid rebuild for San Francisco where they can become really good for a long period of time as they get younger and usher in this new wave and younger generation of players combined with a lot of the pillars that they still have and a lot of the borderline Hall of Famers who are on this football team. Now, going back to some moves that the Niners could make, wouldn't be surprised if they look to bring in a wide receiver, right? And according to Aaron Wilson, NFL Insider, speedy wideout Marquez Valdes-Scantling, who did not make the Seahawks' initial 53, he is a vested veteran. He is considering signing with the 49ers or the Pittsburgh Steelers, two teams who were in need of a wide receiver. Marquez Valdes-Scantling caught a touchdown pass against the Niners in Super Bowl 58. While he's hopped around on a lot of different offenses, he is a speed threat who can make plays downfield. And last year, he averaged more than 20 yards per catch under Kubiak, who was the Saints OC, is now the Seahawks OC, and used to work under head coach Kyle Shanahan. And so he has familiarity with this offense. And those 5 wide receivers on the initial 53, Ricky Pearsall, Jauan Jennings, Sky Moore, Jordan Watkins, Jacob Cowing. But again, Jacob Cowing is hurt. He's not going to be ready to start the year. Wouldn't surprise me if he's put on short-term IR or on PUP. That's 4 wideouts. You need to add another one, also another flex that the Niners can use at their disposal and to their advantage. Whichever wide receivers they sign to the practice squad, they can elevate those receivers to the active roster on game day. All right, more to get to here on the show. But first, today's San Francisco 49ers report made possible thanks to our great friends at PrizePicks. Download the PrizePicks app today. Use the code CLNS and get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, run your game. Head over to prizepicks.com/CLNS. That link is down below in the show notes and attached to the pinned comment of today's show. And again, claim your $50 right now in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. This is the best, most elite go-to daily fantasy sports app for myself, but millions of other people all across the country. For those of you tuned in California, it is available for your use in the state of California. You can get your picks in less than 60 seconds, and it's very easy. All you have to do is choose more or less on a projected player's stat lines, and you can win up to 2,000 times your money. Which players are you high on this year? Which players are you low on? Test out your sports knowledge and show me that you know ball by downloading the PrizePicks app, create an account, use that code and our link CLNS, and get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, run your game. Sign up today, and we appreciate PrizePicks for making today's show possible. All right, another topic to hit here. The 49ers and wide receiver Jauan Jennings remain without an agreement, of course, amid ongoing contract negotiations. And according to Tim Kawakami, longtime Bay Area sports reporter, neither side is happy. Here's a quote from Kawakami. "I don't think either side has ruled out anything. I don't think either side is happy." And I put this post up on my X page prior to recording this show. I put it up on my Instagram as well, at Chase_Senior. Give me a follow over there. And here are my thoughts on Jauan Jennings. I love the way that Jauan Jennings plays the game. He's been incredibly clutch for San Francisco in so many huge moments. He defines the word dog. But prior to last year, he never sniffed coming close to 500-plus receiving yards in a season until last year when he had 975 with 6 touchdowns. And that came, context is always important, when the Niners were the most injured team in all of football. And so the 49ers going into last year, before he had that big year, rewarded him with a new contract last offseason because they knew that he was underpaid. And they knew that he earned it, which is why they gave him a pay bump for 2024 and 2025. And so you can't have one big year of production and then have all of these demands. You want a new big money deal, go out and prove that last year was not a fluke. And if you put up big numbers in 2025, you will get a bag next offseason. When the wide receiver market is robust, has been robust, and with salary cap inflation and the salary cap number going up, these wide receiver contracts over the last several years have been on the uptick. And other teams across the NFL will put value in Jauan Jennings. And they will pay him. They will reward him, whether it's another team or San Francisco. And so Drew Rosenhaus is his agent. Him and Jauan Jennings trying to pull a power play, not a surprise, but it's a dumb approach, in my opinion. Because all Jennings has to do is go out here in 2025, produce, and he will get paid. And if it turns out that he hasn't practiced because he's holding in, and it's not because of the calf issue, I hate that approach as well. Get on the field and prove your worth. You were a 7th-round pick. You didn't make the team as a rookie. You were a practice squad guy. Over the years, you've improved. You've progressed. You've gotten better. But again, you had one good year of production, and now you're like, pay me. I'm unhappy. You got some cojones to approach this the way that you're approaching it after you witnessed what happened with Brandon Ayuk last year in your position group. So I love Jauan Jennings. Valuable player. I would pay him $11 to $15 million per year right now. But to have one good year of production and have all these demands, I disagree with the approach. Which brings me to this. Could the Niners trade for Jakobi Meyers? San Francisco showed interest in him last year before they signed Brandon Ayuk. And Jakobi Meyers is not Brandon Ayuk. But Jakobi Meyers on this team wouldn't be a number one. He's the Raiders' number one right now. He wouldn't be the Niners' number one, I don't think. And ideally, you don't want that to happen because you want Ricky Pearsall to ascend. And you want him to continue to get better. And he's had a terrific training camp. And in his lone preseason game, he balled out. But Jakobi Meyers on this team as a complimentary wide receiver, my goodness. Played for Bill Belichick. Played for the New England Patriots. He is used to a rugged, tough environment and style of play. Jakobi Meyers plays the game the right way. He's a very sure-handed and consistent player, and I think that Kyle Shanahan would really like him. So if the Raiders and the Niners get on the phone and they're willing to swap wide receivers, that is a trade that I would entertain. Do I think it's going to happen? No. A couple of things that are important here to talk about. Jakobi Meyers is looking for a new deal. Jauan Jennings is looking for a new deal. Jakobi Meyers has been a better player. And I think that he is in store to get probably $20+ million per year. And I don't know if the Niners want to pay that on top of paying Ayuk because they've been very cost efficient inside that wide receiver room. And another thing here too, which is ironic, the contract that Jakobi Meyers got when he left New England for the Raiders is now outdated for him. But that is the contract that I think would be perfect for Jauan Jennings. And that's a contract that if I'm San Francisco, I'd be willing to pay Jauan Jennings. So something to monitor there. Man, I'm looking around because we have some house cats walking around. We got some big birds flying around, looking at the ocean right now. And I'm just like all over the place. This place is magical. Costa Rica. If you've never been, get here. Pura Vida. Stay near Jaco Beach, not Jocko Beach. Thanks to everybody who called me out on the mispronunciation yesterday. I didn't know, but thank you. But what a beautiful country. Absolutely love it here. All right, let's round out with this. Which Niners are subject to waivers, meaning other teams can claim them? Junior Bergen, Stone Blanton, Derek Canteen, Jacob Robinson, Sebastian Valdez, Isaac Alarcon, Jalen Allen, Carter Bradley, William Bradley King, Jalen Mahoney, Tanner Mordecai, Drake Nugent, Tariq Owens, Shaquille Brown, Jalen Graham, and Braden Willis. Those are the Niners who are subject to waivers. Just wanted to give you guys that list. And those are players who can get signed by other NFL teams. All right, thanks for tuning into the show. Gonna go hit the beach. Niners gonna set in stone their practice squad at some point today for the most part. And so I'll probably be back for another video. If you want some more footage from Costa Rica, type me, and I'll include that on the next video. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Enjoy your Wednesdays, and I'll see you soon.